A few months ago, my favourite band, Enter Shikari, reached out and asked me if I would like to redesign their logo for the upcoming new album and tour. I obviously said yes. And I've been a massive fan of Enter Shikari ever since I was 12. In fact, my first proper gig that I ever went to with my older brother was Enter Shikari, and I think I was about 12 or 13. And if you don't know who they are, you should go check them out. I'll link them down below with the new album. We discussed before the project happened the process of how we would take it, and because Enter Shikari aren't really a business at all, we had to approach this differently. Normally, I would do a discovery call and I would do some mood boarding and all this stuff, but it didn't really work out that way. And we changed the process because the guys at Enter Shikari, they know exactly what they want and they knew the style better than anyone else. It wasn't data driven at all. So the first thing I did was start drawing. My strategy was to draw on my iPad different types of the name Enter Shikari in different ways. And I wanted to go wildly different every time. This first one, I wanted it to be quite blocky. You can see here, this is just a sketch from my iPad, but I wanted it to be quite blocky. I wanted the name Enter Shikari to be in different levels. I quite liked the way that it was different. It was kind of old school as well. The second version here, number 2, this was one of my favorites just because it felt so centered and quite futuristic. And again, this is just sketches at the minute. At the beginning, all we do is sketches before we spend time on the design, really go into it and vectorize it. With this, I love the idea of the E being super minimal, quite wide tracked, and for the K to be some sort of ornamental K. It just breaks it up slightly, with the A also being in a geometric triangle. And the reason why is that Enter Shikari used geometry quite a lot in their albums, but I really liked this one. It was wide tracked. I loved how the S would work. Again, you're gonna have to trust me because this is just a sketch. So sketches look bad. Sketches are designed to be really quick to create and to get quick feedback. And because we didn't have long, we had a couple of weeks, maybe a month, to really design the logotype and get it out there before the album release and all the tour dates were coming out. We needed to be quick. Every time a new album comes out, there's obviously going to be a bit of a visual shift, especially within a band or an identity. And I didn't get a chance to hear any of the new music before this, so I had to just listen to what Ian was saying and what the kind of premise was, which was basically being new and elevated, nothing hugely different. And again, we've got other ones here where I did slightly different ones, different perspectives. I really liked this one, number 7. It had that old school vibe that they were used to back from like Take to the Skies and Destabilize. We had other concepts as well, and one that I really liked was these ones here, and it started with the basis of Newhouse Grotesque Display, and that's a really nice typeface that I love to use. It's really modern, really clean. It's a bit dystopian as well, so it feels very whitewashed. But we had plenty of ways of doing this. We didn't know whether to justify it to the left or to the right here. Obviously I wanted to get this symbol in, but it seemed a bit chunky. Now Shikari is a very strange word. It's not one that you would normally read. It's very unique, so it needs to be kind of legible, but because this is a band logo, like a music group logo, you can kind of break the rules quite a lot. So here is just a bunch of me breaking the rules. At around this point, number 12, 11, I realized the E was just going to look good if it was correctly done with these 3 bars, because it was legible, it was interesting, it was minimal, it kind of felt futuristic as well. But it was about the composition. How are we going to fix the A, the R? It looks a bit strange with the K. Here's me breaking it up a little bit to create that little glitch effect, which I really like in their music. And including that, they gave me these posters that I was going to use to mock it up. So this is one of the looks of Enter Shikari there. Here's another one with all these different band logos. It was really important that their design sticks out in these posters because there's so many different logo types happening. It had to really stick out. I did some mock-ups mainly for myself to just see what it would look like on merch and on the stage in a really basic way. And I really like this one because of the perspective shift. But it might have been a bit too on the nose. So at this point, I've given all of those images to the guys to get some feedback. And it was really nice actually, because they were able to quickly give me feedback on what they liked and what they didn't like. And for me, knowing what a band like that doesn't like is far more valuable than what they do like. It really does help narrow down the directions that we went in. At this point, we knew that we wanted a more clean version of the Newhouse Grotesque Display. So we had that restriction, which was great. It It felt similar to the old albums, but we could do something different and elevate the design slightly. Now you can see, if you look here, a lot of bad ideas. Now the way that I work is that I put every idea I have out on the artboard or on paper. And I think if we're to be honest with ourselves as designers or whatever, or creatives, it's okay to make bad work and just have it there, because the idea is to make it better in the future. And as you go over, you can start to see where it all takes shape. Here is me playing with the right justification for Enter, different sizings and compositions, and we have so many different iterations here. And this was another presentation of how it could be and how the relationships of the A and the K could work together. You see here in the design process, I was trying to make it so the A and the K could match together nicely, but we had a bit of an issue. This R here was kind of a bit too rounded and ornate, so we needed to find a different glyph that would work better for it, which we did. We took away the stem from the A and tried to match the K and the A together to create some interconnectivity within the type. The trick was not to go too crazy, but also to go a bit weird in other ways. It's the easiest way I can explain it. Here, I'm just playing around with different perspectives, because for me, I'm used to doing a lot of lettering and typography and brand design. So for me, there's kind of strict rules that I apply to myself of what would look good in a business setting. But for music, we could go slightly different, right? So I was playing with different perspectives, different framings of what it could be. The great thing is, it was actually really nice working with other true creatives who I admire, because number one, I didn't have to be selective in what I showed them. They knew exactly what they wanted themselves. Normally, I would pick maybe a couple of these designs that I knew were good and that got the general concept across and send it to the client and pitch that one. And the reason why is because when I'm working with clients who aren't creative or in the creative industry, they might, and they have done in the past, they might choose something that is bad. However, with Enter Shikari, I felt like I could share anything with them and they would understand I was still in the process of where we're going, that they wouldn't pick something. If you're wondering how designers have created these certain websites where they look really flowing, you've got the custom cursor, you would think there's a lot of code going on, but it's not the case. This is actually a Framer website, and I use Framer for our own website. Boom, Framer. We've got a custom cursor. You can see we've got all these effects, including this one. Now, Framer is insane, not because it's just another website builder, but it's actually insane because this is done without coding on a design level. There's no development or coding at all, which is insane. You can do crazy stuff like this where you can show the work, click it, go in, and you get all these different animations, no coding whatsoever. In fact, I can show you on my design, on my actual Framer page here, what it looks like with the different breakpoints. Framer's great because all this done without coding. I love it. But also there's a new feature and they keep adding new features every month or so, probably more than that. This new one's called shaders and it's insane. Look, if I click on this, boom, we've got a shader. And this is really easy to change and add and do all the sorts of crazy things with it. If I just go to insert, go down to shaders, I'm going to bring in this liquid gradient and just drop it in here. I'm just going to go up to here and make it fit everywhere by just making it pin it to the different corners of my stack. Now look at that, that's insane. This is directly inside of Framer and you can change this. You can go wild if you want. You can just do all these crazy things. Look at that, wild. And they've got a bunch of different shaders as well. We've got this one which is chromatic aberration where we can change it and do some crazy things. Like you see this swirl one and how it animates throughout. Look at that, that's insane. Now the main thing is that Framer is completely free to download and they're sponsoring this video. And if you'd like 1 month of Framer Pro for completely free, then use the code linked here or in the description. So as we kept going, you can see I've got multiple artboards here of how we kept going, and it sort of fell on this one here, this idea where the A and the R were different. The R was a different glyph, still part of Newhouse Grotesque Display, but everything was brought in slightly. It was justified to the left so it read really clearly. The A and the K had a really nice relationship. Because normally, if you were to track all of these letters in, there's a massive space in between, like here. And this space is a no-go. It just looks strange when it's zoomed out. So here we wanted things to feel different, and we did that in different ways, whether that was to bring the tracking straight in on Shikari, whether that was to extend the A out, whether that was to cut out a bit of the A on the R. These things didn't work out too well. And from going to the extremes of really complicated, we actually went back, as you can see here, to something a bit more subtle, where the E's were all just these horizontal lines that were gridded out. And the A was interconnected with the K, showing a bit of depth into the design with the cutout, and the R was straight on both of them, which just gives it that better feeling. From here, I just refined it, making sure that it all worked really nicely. And as you can see, as we go over, we get to a point of where the text feels all cohesive. Now, I'm a brand designer. I'm a logo designer. I love things to be really simple. And I also love typography. I was able to create this, but at the same time, I was worried that it was far too complicated. But I had to get that out of my brain, that sort of mindset, because it wasn't helping. Anyway, I handed this over to them with the look of what it would look like to show how it would look on some of the posters and everything that we did, like so. And it just looked incredible. We really liked it. It gave the vibe of Enter Shikari, and those guys were really happy with it as well. So that's my logo type design process for Enter Shikari. What an honor it was to be able to design a logotype for a band that has inspired me all the way through my youth and into my adult years. I'm 30 years old now. I feel well old. Sometimes I can't believe I get to do this for a job. Not just obviously this, but obviously creating in all sorts of ways, whether it's branding, lettering, type design, YouTube, video production, working with amazing people throughout the planet. If you did enjoy this video and you want to see some more behind the scenes of our client process and our work, then make sure to subscribe below if you haven't already, and check to see if you've liked the video too. That apparently does help these videos. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you soon.